I'm offering is the truth. Nothing.
First, I like to say peace to the gods.
Welcome
to Truth Tuesday with your host, Akeem L.
He knows more than you can imagine.
The truth.
Well, the truth is, you got to get yourself together.
The truth.
The truth is, you got to get your mind right.
The truth.
The truth is, you got to get your paperwork in order. The truth is,
Hindsight Radio.
I'm listening, but are they listening?
Hindsight Radio.
What you talking about? Okay. What about Tuesday? Yo, Akeem, pick me up. Yo, turn that on, son.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you'll be able to listen to the show.
At last.
Hindsight Radio.
The truth is Tuesday.
With your host, Akeem L. The truth.
All right, peace, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Truth Tuesday show with your host, Akeem L, here on Hindsight Radio, the information station changing the nation. I hope everybody's doing well. Myself, I'm doing great. Had a great time in Tacoma, Washington this weekend. Met some good people, made some great connections. Everything went well. I want to first thank to Eddie and his family for receiving me and for their hospitality and treating me like family. I got to meet Eddie. I met his wife. I met his daughter, his son-in-law, and his granddaughter. Good family. When I got to the hotel, Eddie and his wife was there waiting on me, and I immediately noticed who they were right away. I said, these are the aboriginals of this land that I'm looking at. You know, the aboriginals they don't talk about. The aboriginals they try to hide. Then, you know, for lunch we went to get some lunch at Subway, and we walked over because it was right next door, and the young lady was serving everyone. They had her in the store by herself, and she was an Aboriginal. I said, this must be a high concentration of Aboriginals out here. Had some very distinct features about them that let you know who they were, that they were the originals on that land. Of course, the history books is going to try to hide that fact, and they have tried to hide it. But the truth is coming out more and more each day. This morning, someone emailed me an article. The name of the article is The Classification of Native Americans as Mulattoes in Anglo-North America. And this article, I only have a page of it, an excerpt of it. I think, wait a minute, it's a big article. I didn't read the whole thing, but I'm going to read some of it. But it's a lot of information here. It's about 16 pages. And because they were doing research on their history of their family, where they came from. And the truth of the matter is, we all come from this land. We didn't come, our ancestors didn't come across on any boats and any shackles. That's just the story they try to promote to blind you from your history. Well, when you came here, only way you even thought you came from somewhere else because you went to school and they told you that. Or your parents might have told you that because they went to school and they was told that. But you never dug into your history and traced your family line back to see where it came from. What's amazing, a lot of us people of color or indigenous folks go to church, and the only history we know is what the Bible says. We don't even know our own family, but the Bible tells you to honor thy mother and thy father. And honoring thy mother and thy father means knowing where you come from, who you are. That's honoring, making sure you're calling yourself your true nationality. That's why it's important to come to these seminars and learn about your nationality, learn who you are. Dig in. A lot of y'all have done the passport with me, and I appreciate the time and that you've taken to do that and the support you've shown. You can take it a step further and dig into your history and add in your nationality because you have a right to nationality. They can't tell you what you can call yourself. That's your job. To tap into your ancestry, to tap into your ancestors, and tap into God and the God in you and come out with that answer and put that on paper, make that declaration. Too many times we're declaring a lot of stuff that don't help us. We're declaring someone else's message or someone else's nationality. It's sad that we support other groups more than we support ourselves as a people. And that's unfortunate. But that's because we were taught that, And one other thing I want to say is a lot of us, now that we feel that we have new information, we have enlightened information, we want to throw away our Christian roots, our religious roots, and cast that to the side. I haven't cast my roots to the side. There's a lot of things I don't agree with anymore, but I haven't cast it to the side. Why haven't I cast it to the side? Because what I said a few minutes ago, or a minute or two ago, you must honor thy mother and thy father. That's what my parents gave me with good intentions. That's what their parents gave them with good intentions. So I'm not going to just, Christianity, throw it and burn it. No, it serves a purpose. Actually, the religion gave me the foundation of who I am today. Now, I don't believe the story how it's told because I've done my research. And my parents and their parents before them gave me that information with good intentions. They had well-being. They wanted me to be a good, upstanding person. So they gave me what they thought was best. Even though some of it was misguided, but still, it's about the intentions of what you're being given. So I'm telling people, don't throw that away. You need some of that. That's part of who you are. Embrace it. Come to love it and accept it. That's what you were raised on. Was you misguided in some ways? Yes, that's true. But it's not something to turn your nose up to and disrespect every Christian out there because they have firm beliefs in that. Because be careful, you do not judge or you yourself will be judged. No, I believe there's some churches out there that are harming. They think they're helping, but they're harming more than they're helping. because they misunderstand the true principles of what the Bible and what Christ came, his message that he came to deliver. The message he came to deliver is to elevate your thoughts to higher levels of consciousness. Always strive to renew your mind to make it better. Make yourself better. Love yourself. Stop committing that sin of self-hate. One of the many reasons why we have issues in our life, because at the end of the day, a lot of people don't like themselves or not satisfied with themselves. What makes that even worse is those same people who are not satisfied with themselves will sit there and do nothing about it. Some will blame others, and some will just throw their hands up and say, what can I do? Yeah, what you can do is when you get up in the morning, be grateful that you, for one thing, you're alive. Be grateful that you have an opportunity to make the change or do something different. Be grateful that you can embark on a new journey of higher consciousness, self-upliftment. Be grateful. Like, I'm really grateful for this weekend. We didn't have a large crowd. It was a small crowd, but it still was successful. Financially, it was successful, and spiritually and mentally. I made a connection with someone who was basically a last-minute show. You know, they wasn't even sure that they were going to make it. But that connection turned into a huge business opportunity. You know? Huge. You know, listen. Although the gentleman didn't say it or tell me that he was a millionaire, but just by his conversation and what he was exposing me to, told me he was a millionaire. I recognized it right off the bat. We were sitting down talking. He was showing me things, showing me investment opportunities that I shared with. We did a little short webinar last night with a group of people I introduced to this investment opportunity. What's funny about that is, for last month, I'm not even going to talk about what the investment opportunity is, because I don't want haters and I don't want to have any naysayers. This investment opportunity is to a closed private group that I personally selected and sent the information to. And if I haven't brought it to you yet, there's people I haven't gotten in touch with because I haven't had time. I will. But I'm not going to talk about the details of it, because you don't let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. Meaning you don't let the haters know what you're doing, because they'll try to hate and try to trip you up and try to put doubt in your mind. These little sessions we're going to have is always going to be private. But I'm going to tell you, the opportunity is good and it's real, as I've already seen the benefits of it, and I only had it, the information, for a few days, you know, on a small level. So if I go in, I've already went in a big with it, but it'll be even bigger. You know, if y'all haven't been paying attention, things are about to change. This financial structure is about to change. It's changing, and the handwriting is on the wall, and y'all need to be looking at creating multiple streams of income, multiple streams of wealth. Really. So what I was saying was, for the last couple of months, I've been looking at something. It's common knowledge now, but I've been looking at it. I hadn't really paid attention to it. And I said a little prayer and an affirmation. I said, well, I don't know much about this industry or this information. Please connect me with the right person and put me in the right place at the right time for me to be successful with this information. I really felt like it was the way to go. But I didn't know enough to just jump right in. So Monday, last week, not yesterday, last week, Monday, I got a contact from a business contact that I've been working with and said he was going to come to the seminar. And I said, sure, be my guest. You can be my guest. Come on in. The guy from another platform, he has a very big platform. We connected. We do business together. And he said, okay. He said, cool, boom. Then a couple of days before I left, he said, hey, I might be bringing one of my very good friends. I've known him for a while. He might show up. I don't know. He may or he may not. I said, well, bring him too. Let him be my guest too. No hesitation, didn't question. I didn't worry about the cost or whatever. Come on in. So when I got in Friday, the gentleman and his friend was there in the lobby waiting for me at the hotel. And they were going out to eat. And I said, well, I'm not going to chance it and go out and hang out. Time schedule's off. I'm going to go to my room. I'm going to meditate. This is what I do. I don't do much the day before I got to speak. I try to keep my mind clear. So I said, if we can hang out, afterwards, we'll do that. But at the end of the seminar, I hung out with Eddie and his family. We went out to a nice seafood restaurant. Food was great. But the morning of the seminar, the friend was talking to some other guys, and I overheard them talking about some financial stuff while I was setting up my projector. And I said, it sounded like what I was looking into. So at the end of the seminar, anybody that does a seminar with me, I always have deals that you can't refuse. So I wanted everybody to leave there with the full passport process. I did not want anybody to leave there and not have it. So they can go home and execute it and get their passport as a national. So I offered the template. I'm not going to disclose the price because what happens at the seminar stays at the seminar. Oh, wow, Eddie, if Eddie's listening, I got to get you your stuff. I'm sorry. I let it slip my mind. But anyway, so the gentleman said, well, I want the template, but I want to barter it in a certain way. But I'm not going to be detailed about how we barter. And right away when he said that, I said, that's what I was looking for. I recognize. I know y'all wonder why I can't tell you these stories. Why is he telling this story? I'm going to tell you why I'm telling you. I said, that's what I'm looking for. I jumped on it. I didn't hesitate. I said, yeah, let's do that. And he set me up with it, and he said, well, I could also, and I said to him, well, I heard you guys over there talking about money. I'm always interested in learning about new money-making opportunities. Can I learn what you know? And he said, sure. And he showed me, set me up through my phone, did all of this stuff. Boom, 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 went over, it took seconds. Boom, we were set up. And long story short, that evening, 3 o'clock in the morning, I get an alert on my phone. My investment had already started making money, and it was letting me know how much I made. I said, man, with this little bit amount, I'm making this kind of money, and this thing is talking about compound interest. If I had a lot of money in here, man, I could make enough money in one day to pay a car note, to pay a bill. Just imagine that, So what I say all of this to say this. A lot of us are wanting success, praying for success, speaking success, and then when success show up, we doubt it. We slap it away with doubt. I don't know if I could trust him. I had never met this man before in my life. Don't know him from Adam. But what did I do? I trusted the God in me that this was the opportunity because I asked for it and it came to me. Now, I didn't know he was a millionaire when we first started talking, because when I got back home Sunday and we did a one-on-one webinar, and he was showing me how the thing worked. And he started showing me different things and what he was involved in, all these projects. I knew instantly who I was dealing with. See, when people have money, they don't tell you they got money. They show you through their actions how they behave, their modesty, their privacy. That's how you know when people got true wealth. You know, that's true real wealth. Real wealth doesn't flaunt it in his face. It's just you know it's wealth just by the way they carry themselves with class and dignity and respect. You see? So, anyway, so that was an affirmation, a prayer, answered. And when it came, I answered the call. Are you going to answer the call when the opportunity knocks, or are you going to be fearful? Listen, I had some family issues with, I didn't have any issues personally, but people in my family had issues where they needed money to take care of stuff, and I've given them the money, and guess what? It's likely I probably won't even get it back, or I'll get it back in pieces. But for me to take some money and just invest in myself, into my own prosperity, that's a risk I'm going to take all the time. Remember, and the very man I was talking about, he said, listen, I have lost, this is how I know he was big time. He said, I've lost millions at times. He said, just trying this and trying that, but I don't never let it. The one thing he was saying, he was talking like Reverend Knight. He said, I don't let it stop me, because that's just part of the game. Losing is the key to success, because that's the only way you're going to refine your skill. The reason why most people listening to me and most people out in the world are not successful, because they are afraid of losing something. And guess what they're afraid of losing? A couple of dollars, $2, $3, $100, $5, $20. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're afraid of losing. No, you got to get if you want to get with the big boys, you got to be like, yo, I'm about to risk this 10,000, 100,000, million. Because the rewards are greater with more you put at risk. See, if you don't take any risk, you're going to stay broke. You're going to stay right at the level you are. And then when this system collapses, guess what? You didn't take any risk. You're going to collapse right along with it, because you don't have anything stored up. And some of y'all are living with, well, I could do this. I'll pay off this. Y'all thinking about paying off debt. The wealthy welcomes debt. They use it as a wealth tool. They don't use their money to buy the things that they're investing in. Anyway. So, listen, stop being afraid of your own success. A lot of us will walk head in to these little minute problems, but won't walk head into trying to do something to make ourselves successful. We'd rather not do nothing. We want to sit there and just look at the money. Just look at it, not put it somewhere to make it grow. And y'all don't remember that scripture where you had 3 slaves and one was given 5 talents, one was given 3, and one was given 1. I think that's how many. I think I got the numbers right. The 2 with the most talents went and increased those talents. The one with the 1 talent, which represents 99% of the population with the 1 talent, sits there and he buried it. And he got treated harshly for that, for not making it multiply. Your money is supposed to multiply, supposed to be in abundance. The Bible is, and for all of those that talk about money ain't everything, well, let me shut that down. Ecclesiastes 10:19 says, feasts are made for laughter, wine gladdens the life, and money meets every need. Yo, your preacher ain't preaching that, huh? money meets every need. This is in Ecclesiastes 10:19. So I always, when people come and say, money ain't everything, or they'll tell me I always talk about money, or I've had people say, Reverend Knight, he talks about money. I don't feel the Spirit of God in him. No, that's because you don't feel the Spirit of God because your God is a broke God. Your God is a poor God. Your God believes in poverty. My God believes in prosperity, wealth, health, generational wealth. I don't know about y'all, but I'm sick of watching my family have funerals and everybody's trying to figure out how to pay for it. I'm tired of seeing that. So I have made a vow to myself and to my family that I'm not leaving funeral bills behind for them. They'll have the money to pay for it. Furthermore, they're not going to be sticking me in no ground. Listen, send me up as a burnt offering to heaven, whatever. Don't be I don't want to be stuck in no damn ground like that. Ain't no casket. I'm claustrophobic. All right, let me get into today's lesson. 7:40. I don't have to worry about my daughter calling at 8 because she's here with me now. I picked her up. We're gonna enjoy the extended fall break is what they call it. The schools call it. So I don't have to do that. That's a little relief. I got a little break, and I'm having another bigger break coming in Christmas, which should be out for a couple of weeks. And yeah, but, I kind of was so busy, I hadn't figured out what we're going to do for the next few days. So we're going to do something. Just don't know. I'm going to let the Spirit move me in the direction I need to go. We might pick up and get on the road. I don't know. I'm going to figure it out. But we're going to do something. And once again, thanks to Eddie. And, I've done a lot of seminars. And everybody's been great to me. But I really got to give a special thanks to Eddie and his family because they really did treat me like family. Not to mention, Jason and you guys, y'all treated me like family too. No, don't think y'all didn't do that. But it was just what was different about them was it was his family. It was him, his wife, his daughter, her husband. They the ones who put this seminar together, and really the seminar was really for them. They wanted to do it for them. It was me who encouraged, hey, maybe we should bring some other people in to help cover some of the expenses. So, but just you could see from my point of view the closeness in the family, the closeness. Him and his wife been married for 40 years. That's a blessing and accomplishment all in itself. Well, continued success to Eddie and his family, and they will be blessed. They're gonna get everything that they ask for and more. All right, two things we're gonna talk about. First, we're gonna do our chapter 14, Reverend Knight's Health, Joy, Prosperity for You. Always got to start the show off with the positive information. Get your mind geared up, so that when you get off this show, you can go and make it happen for yourself. Then we're going to talk about these mulattoes, the mulatto. The information that was sent to me this morning, shouts out to the young sister who sent it to me, Aaliyah. I'm not going to say the last name. She emailed me this, and I started reading it, and I said, wow, this is good information. So I want to give her credit for that, doing her studies. And so let's go on to the Reverend Knight. Chapter 14 is where we are. It says, set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth, keep the door of my lips. That's Psalms 141:3. Yes, you must set a watch on that mouth of yours, because that mouth will bless you or curse you. It's you that is causing your pain, and it is you who is causing your good. So be mindful. A feast is made for laughter, and wine makes merry, but money answers all question. That's another version. Ecclesiastes 10:19. Y'all should be writing this down and read these scriptures and remind yourself. All right? A science of living principle. Everything is a condition of the mind. The idea comes first and then the manifestation of that idea. You can't be, you can't do, and you can't have anything until you first have the idea of it in your mind. I have discovered some very interesting psychological reasons why people have money problems. Your problems with money, or your abundance of money for that matter, begin with what I call your financial psychology, which is your attitude toward money. That's right. That's what we're talking about. What is your financial psychology? Now, this is funny. He wrote this book, but I noticed that guy, he's a guy, he does the financial thing, so people get out of debt. Dave Ramsey, I think his name is. He uses this term. Now, this book is older than his method. Oh, he's a biting. He's copycatting. Determine your financial psychology. Ask yourself, what is my attitude toward money? I've really never heard anybody probe into the psychological area of money much before Rev Ike came along. As a matter of fact, that question, what is my attitude toward money, sounds rather strange. The average person would say, well, what the heck has that got to do with the fact that I don't have the money that I need? How do you feel about money? But let me tell you, your attitude toward money has everything to do with your experience of money. Your attitude toward money will draw money to you or repel money from you. Your positive attitude toward money will help to maneuver you into better positions of financial compensation. A negative attitude toward money can even cut you off from getting that job or that position that will bring you greater financial rewards. As I so often teach you, everything begins in the mind. Money, like everything else, is a psychic vibration. In order to experience money as you should, or any of the riches of life as you should, you have to be in tune with the good you want. Your attitude toward money will draw money to you or repel money from you. So, take a deep look into yourself and your situation, your financial circumstances, and find out what your financial psychology is. If you're short, if you're saying you're coming up short, it's because somewhere you're thinking short. Don't be offended by what I'm saying. Realize it's the thought that's making you short. You see, I demonstrated to you on a small scale, or it could be large, just depends on how you look at it, that just putting the vibration of what you want out there will bring it to you. I met this man, never met him, and boom. Exactly what I was looking for. I didn't have any serious qualms about what I was doing. You see what I'm saying? Your mind attracts what your experience will be. And a lot of times when we get that experience, why has this happened to me? Because you asked for it. You brought it to you, So let's keep going. Are you indifferent to money? As I've been dealing with people through this ministry, I have discovered some interesting things about people and their attitudes towards money. Those who are indifferent toward money do not have a good relationship with it. If you're indifferent, it's not a big deal to me, money ain't going to be a big deal to you. Money likes people who like it. You see? I counseled a very aristocratic lady in Beverly Hills, California recently. Her late husband left her a wealthy woman, but she said her money was getting away from her. She wondered why. So I listened to her. Within 60 seconds after she started talking, I sized her up. I discovered that the reason this lady's money was getting away from her was because she had an indifference attitude toward money. I've actually literally experienced that. Knowing people with indifference towards money and see it fly away from them within a year or two. Get large amounts of money and it's gone. Boom. Because their attitude was lackadaisical when it came to money. They didn't have respect for it. And whenever you don't have respect for money, it's not going to stay with you. Money stays with those who, or comes to those, flows to those who respect it properly. It's not going to take any disrespect. Money is easy to get. Money is just like anything else, like picking up a cup of water. It flows like water. But if you say that it's hard to get, it's short, you say these words, and what really irritates me sometimes, I talk about this every week, and I hear people in their emails and their phone calls, yeah, money's hard right now. Yeah, it's hard right now because you just said that. You called it. But they don't see it. Wait a minute. They don't catch themselves. That's why that first thing said, set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth and keep the door of my lips. You will not catch me saying that. And if I'm about to say it, I catch myself. You know, and I don't even like hearing nobody say that to me. Money's hard. That's like, oh, get that away from me. No, money is not hard to make. It's very easy to make. And I'm confused because it's been hard for me. That's you different. Only difference between you and I is that I say different things about my money. That's the difference. I'm not walking around saying it's hard. You know, I only got this much. I walk around and say I got millions. I'm a millionaire. I'm good. I speak that. And guess what it does? It brings the millionaires to you that can make you a millionaire. You have to think it before you experience it. You have to put it in your mind. You're not going to get it without that. That's the process. If it ain't in your mind, it ain't going to show up. You're not going to get some windfall. And sometimes people do get windfalls. And that windfall becomes it becomes a problem for them because they lose it as fast as they get it. And they don't even think right about when they get large amount of money. You know? Listen, a person who doesn't have the right financial psychology when it comes to money, when they get a lot of money, guess how they think? They think like this. They're going to put it away, and they're going to siphon off of it, live off of it over time. And then then if it runs out, I'll go get a job to catch up. That's how people think when they don't think right. Now, a person who has good financial psychology say, well, I am going to live off it and siphon it, but I'm going to take a portion of it and make it grow so that I don't have to go and get a job. Or I don't have to rush out. How do I take this money? See, when you take money and you just siphon it off and you don't try to make it grow, you are just like the slave with the one talent. That's who you are. And you're going to be cursed by that idea. You're going to be cast out, thrown into a mental prison of financial poverty. How I know this? Because I've seen it with my own eyes. And that taught me one very good lesson. That experience that I watched with my own eyes taught me one good lesson. Don't disrespect money. When you get a financial windfall or blessing, you are supposed to. It is your job to multiply it. And if you don't multiply it, it'll be hell freezing over before you get another opportunity like that again. Until you correct your thinking. Maybe you would have to repent. All right, keep going. Are you indifferent to money? I read that one. Someone who was interested in hiring this lady said, how much money do you want for accepting this position? And she said to the person who wanted to hire her, well, I really don't know. It doesn't matter. I told her, if you said that, that is exactly why your money is getting away from you. Don't ever give money the idea that it doesn't matter to you. Your attitude toward money has everything to do with your experience of money. This reminds me of a very brilliant young man who was in college making all A's. During his junior year, he got a job at the college, working in a college radio station. He told me about it, and he was all excited. He told me all about the job and all about the responsibility he had assumed. I asked him, son, how much money are they paying you for that? He said, oh, Rev, that doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter what they are paying me. Right there, I told him, don't be indifferent toward money or you are going to have money problems. And sure enough, for about a year after this young man graduated from college, he had difficulty finding a job. There, he was an honor college graduate and out of work. That is so true. I know people with bachelor's degrees and going to school for master's degrees, and they are always broke because their financial psychology is bad. They have bad financial psychology. Every once in a while, I would talk to this young man, and I would work with him to help him purge his indifferent attitude toward money. Finally, when he changed his attitude toward money, when he got rid of his indifference toward money, he got a good job and settled into society. But this shows you that your indifference towards money will give you problems. Here's an affirmation about money that I want to give you that will cure your indifference towards money. Say to yourself, so anybody out there that's got indifference towards money, don't be prideful. You need to be saying it. My positive interest in money increases money in my life. My positive interest in money increases money in my life. The Lord knows we all need an increase of money. Really. Say it again. My positive interest in money increases money in my life. It is impossible to be indifferent toward money and have a good relationship with it. You know what? That brings me to another story. I know a preacher that's indifferent towards money. I've actually heard him say, I don't care about the money. I'm preaching because I want to help the people. That's a noble thing to say. That's good intentions. But at the same time, it's not a godly thing to say. Because that's not what God said. God says he will make your cup runneth over if you're in the Christianity faith. See, I'm speaking from that perspective. So this man is preaching from the Christianity perspective. So I'm using those words to support what I'm saying. Said it all the time. And guess what? His church stayed broke. Nobody ever tithed. And when they tithed, they were giving dollars here, dollars there. They was always behind on the bill. And guess what? I can guarantee you, I haven't been to that church in a long time. I can guarantee you they got the same problems. Why? Because his financial psychology is jacked up. Problem with this brother, he's hard-headed. You can't tell him nothing. So he's going to wallow in his financial poverty until he gets an awakening of why his church doesn't succeed financially. Yeah, see, I see that. See, this book makes sense of a lot of the things I've experienced personally and through other people. Deal with money as a personality. Learn to deal with money as psychological and psychic entity. Deal with money as a personality. The theologians and the philosophers, for that matter, have personified everything but money. For example, error has been personified as the devil. I personify money as a very beautiful but very sensitive, aristocratic woman. I talk about money as if it were a person because money is a psychic vibration. In some of my money sermons, I've told you, money is just like a woman. There's an old Irish proverb which states money swore an oath that nobody that did not love her should ever have her. In the psychic area of life, money is a person. Money has a mentality. Money has emotions. Money has feelings. And if you hurt the feelings of money, she is going to stay away from you or give you trouble or both. You may personify money to yourself however you like, perhaps as very sensitive and desirable man. Whichever way you personify money, if you start dealing with money on the basis, you will get on that basis, you will get a lot more money a lot faster. Watch what you say. Never speak lightly of money. Let me give you one of those statements that people always make about money without thinking. Well, money isn't everything. Never say what money isn't. That expresses an indifference towards money. That expresses an indifference attitude. Never speak lightly of money. Money's feelings are easily insulted, and she will go the other way. She will stick her head in the air and turn her nose up at you and ease on down the road to someone who wants her. Money is knocking at your door. Whatever you are indifferent toward will be indifferent towards you. Watch what you say about money. This is why the psalmist said, set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. Psalms 141:3. If people could only see how they talk money away from them. The truth is that money is knocking at your door, and if it has to knock more than once, it'll go knock where someone will let it in the first time. What you are indifferent towards will be indifferent toward you. So that works for anything, not just money. If you're indifferent about having a good relationship with someone, guess what? You're going to have an indifferent relationship, and that person will eventually move on. The goodness of life is knocking at your door. Success, prosperity, and happiness are knocking at your door, but you cannot be indifferent to the riches of life in any form and think that they are going to stick around you if they don't feel welcome. Who likes to stay around where they don't feel welcome? If money does not feel welcome with you, if you do not establish a welcome psychology for money, you're going to have problems with it. Develop your financial psychology. Sometimes these good religious people who have so much piety think they are above money. Never think that you're above money. That's a very subtle danger that you have to watch. Money is not everything, but it is like the old song says. Money won't buy everything, it's true, but what it won't buy, I can't use. Make sure you have a positive financial psychology toward money and toward all other riches of life. Health, happiness, love, success, and prosperity. Don't be indifferent toward any good. Once you have positive financial psychology, you will have an abundance of money in your life. But be careful to keep it in perspective. Don't be a servant to money. Don't serve money. Make sure money serves you. You are the master in your relationship with money. Be sure to use your money in constructive, positive ways. So, how do you not serve money? See, serving money is the people that get up 9 to 5 and slave for that paycheck so they can get it and pay somebody to pay them bills off. That's slave serving money. But people who don't serve money, money comes to them and they decide how it gets there. They got bills too, but they also can decide the vacations. They can decide what to invest in. They have an abundance. That's when money is serving you because you are picking and choosing where it goes intentionally. Most people can't pick and choose how they spend their money. They only have enough just to do enough to keep themselves going and don't have enough for that. And they got to scrimp a skirt to even go on vacation. See, that's when you're a slave to your money. When you're not a slave, you got an abundance. Okay, my bills are taken care of, boom. I'm going on this vacation. I'm going to take a couple $1,000, I'm going to invest in this to make it grow, make it bring back some more babies, some money babies. Make me some money babies with this $2,000. Call it whatever you want, but call it something positive so that you can bring wealth, happiness to your life. Okay? Quotes to remember: your attitude toward money will draw money to you or repel money from you. Money swore an oath that nobody that did not love her should ever have her. Irish proverb. When it is a question of money, everybody is of the same religion. That's right. Voltaire. Money is like a sixth sense, and you can't make use of the other five without it. W. Somerset Maugham. Okay, here's the affirmative treatment. If you want, if you be so kind and be so gracious to repeat after me. Money. I'm calling you into my life. I know you hear me. Right here and right now, I'm telling you, money, you love me. You are welcome in my hands, in my pockets, and in my life all the time. And I open my heart and my mind to money in all forms, banknotes, certificates and deposits, stocks and bonds, and I'm going to add in discharge. So you want that money in all forms. I open my life to money through my loving, appreciating attitude. That should be repeated. I open my life to money through my loving, appreciating attitude. You should appreciate money. When you say money ain't a big deal, you don't appreciate it. Money don't want to hear you saying something like that. The very thing you need to sustain you talking about it ain't a big deal. The very thing you need to pay a light bill, to pay your rent, pay your car note, pay your car insurance, buy your food, you talking about it ain't everything. It ain't nothing. Are you serious? That's insanity to speak like that. That's why you ain't got none. Here we go. Money serves me in divine right ways. Money knows I have the right financial psychology and loves me in return. Money is my obedient servant. I do not serve money. Money serves me. Money is wonderful stuff, and I let it multiply in my life. Thank you, God and me, for money. I know it might have been hard for some of you religious-minded, spiritually, or I wouldn't say spiritually, religiously straight saints to talk like that about, when it comes to money, because I know some of y'all churches told y'all money is the root of all evil. That's the lie they told y'all. But yet, right after they say that, they'll pass around that bucket and want you to put some of that evil money in it. All right, y'all. Okay. That was a good chapter. I like that. I'm going to go back and read that when I get off the air. I'm going to read these affirmatives. I'm going to actually make me a big old poster of these and stick it up so I could remind myself I love that chapter. I guess that's why I do so well. If y'all got a question, put your hand up. But right now, it's 8:07. I've been talking for a full over 50 minutes straight up. And I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about these mulattoes, and then I'm going to take your questions. Looks like we're going to have a pretty decent-sized show, a long show. Before I go to break, I want to tell y'all, we got a seminar in Champaign, Illinois. Some of y'all might have seen the post on the internet. I'm going to send out an email tomorrow morning or tonight. I'm a little jet lagged because the time zone was different. I know it was short, but it still affected me. I picked up my daughter and got home. I was exhausted. I had to take a nap. But let me give y'all the details of this seminar here. It's a nice size flyer here. It's the Peace and Overstanding Seminar featuring Hindsight Radio host Akeem L. That be me, of course. Okay, we're going to talk about get third-party debt collectors off your back. I know how to do that well. I can teach y'all to do that. Learn how to protect you, your family, and property through properly setting up trust. Understanding your rights protected by the Constitution. Rules to court and court procedures. Legal versus lawful, public versus private, plus what your status is and its importance. The importance of your birth certificate and so much more. Yes, this is going to be a packed information seminar. Is Friday the 13th and Saturday the 14th. 2-day seminar. I really hope you guys can make it. This is going to be a good one. It's only $50 this seminar, I think. $50 per person. That's a nice cost. I haven't had a seminar that cheap in a long time. But again, I have been invited to speak at this venue. I'm not putting it together. I didn't put it together. They took care of all the expenses. So I'm just showing up and speaking. And I really appreciate these guys for doing it. All right. The tickets, call 312-736-2171. 312-736-2171 or email kjsj3030@gmail.com. I'm going to speak it in alpha code. Kilo, Juliet, Sierra, Juliet 3030@gmail.com. kjsj3030@gmail.com. They have all the information about the tickets. I think it's $50 for one person, $60 for two. So, man, y'all, come on. And I'm going to talk about nationality. I'm going to talk a little bit about the passport, but not in depth like I do at my, seminars I do specifically for that. So I look forward to seeing you guys. I look forward to meeting the brothers that set this up for them. It was, that was good of them to set this up because they want people to get this information. So be prepared to have a great time because it's going to be a good one. Because I'm going to be having some really good information on taxes and all kinds of stuff. So I'm going to have this not up on my website yet where you can go view this, but there's the information. Contact them. They will set you up. All right? What else? All right, so let me take a short break, go get a drink of water, and then we can tackle this, the mulatto, who these mulatto people are, who they trying to say they are. All right, here we go. Be right back. All right, I'm back. I love that song, Way of the World. Y'all ever listen to the words? That song right there be telling y'all something. It said in the lyrics, it said, a child is born with a heart of gold, but the ways of the world makes his heart grow cold. That's what happened to a lot of y'all. Y'all born with a golden heart. Y'all born with light. But the ways of this world has bogged you down. And you stop believing in yourself. You stop knowing that you are great. You are wonderful. You have all of the things you need. You have an abundance. The difference between you actually experience abundance because you believe you don't have it. Everybody has the same opportunities. The reason why there's a 1% of the people that have all of this wealth, it's not so much because of its greed. There's greed involved. Because they command it. They make money serve them. Then some of them have created an educational system to teach you how to slave for money. You're going to have to break free from that curse. Knowledge can be a curse, depending on what you're taking in. All right, let's get in. Let's go in. It's 8:18. I talked a lot longer than I thought it would, but I think it was needed. I'm going to start off with this document. It's Native Americans as mulattoes, the classification of Native Americans as mulattoes in Anglo-North America. This is chapter 7 of a book, I think. Okay, it's Forbes to Africans and Native Americans. It's a PDF. You might be able to find this online, but I'm just going to read a little bit of it. And I didn't realize it was 16 pages because I only read a couple of pages, and I got all the information I needed out of it. But I got to go read the whole thing. Because, how you study, you read one thing, and then it takes you to other things because I found another document. It says, American-African interactions in North America, an area of scholarly neglect. Contemporary scholarly and popular literature in the United States has largely ignored the significance of widespread Native American ancestry among Afro-Americans and also of African ancestry among many Native groups. The consequences of this neglect are far-reaching, and this is especially true in relation to studies of the evolution of music, folk tales, social organization, and other aspects of culture. In a similar manner, the existence of a large group of red-black people, part American and part African, has been largely overlooked, and in fact, such people have been usually classified as black by both scholars and North American statutes. So they're saying they got North American statutes that classified you as black. Still further, the former existence of comparatively large numbers of Native American slaves has also been ignored generally, with great consequence for both early Native and Afro-American history. There are, of course, exceptions to this pattern of overlooking the red-black connection. First, there are a large number of biographies and autobiographies, as for example, of musicians or singers such as Adelaide Hall, Willie the Lion Smith, Paul Robeson, Josephine Baker, Bunk Johnson, Lena Horne, Pops Foster, George Lewis, Pearl Bailey, Lee Belly, Tina Turner, and others, all of which have specific reference to Native American ancestry. Secondly, there is an Alman W. Lauber's study of Indian slavery in colonial times, 1913, a work which has been grossly neglected in recent decades. And thirdly, there are several early attempts to document or to note the significance of the Black American interaction. I wish to cite some of these works so as to illustrate a trend which has not been continued, by and large, since the 1930s. As early as the late 19th century, the 19th annual report of the Bureau of American Etymology noted that a considerable proportion of the blood of the Southern Negroes of the U.S. is unquestionably Indian. The 1937 doctoral dissertation of James Hugo Johnston, belatedly published many years later, went further. There developed in the colonial period much intermixture of the Indian and Negro slave. The class commonly called the mulatto is the result, in many instances, of the union of the three racial elements. To the visitor in the South, the physical characteristics of many Negro slaves bore witness to their Indian origin. The mixed race in America today is the result of the union of the Indian, the Negro, and the white man. Italics added. Johnston also noted that many Indians were enslaved along the eastern seaboard. The end of Indian slavery came with the final absorption of the blood of the Indian by the more numerous Negro slaves. But the blood of the Indian did not become extinct in the slave states, for it continued to flow in the veins of the Negro. In an article published in the Journal of Negro History, Johnston remarked, where the Negro was brought into contact with the American Indian, the blood of the two races intermingled. The Indian has not disappeared from the land, but is now part of the Negro population of the United States. The latter statement might offend many Indians today who still survive, of course, in great numbers as Native Americans, but nonetheless, the significance of Johnston's thesis as regards the extent of Native American African intermixture remains before us. Nor was Johnson alone. Frank H. Russell, in The Free Negro in Virginia, wrote in 1913 that one of the ways in which the free colored population grew was by the mixture of the Indians and Negroes. He said also that there is no doubt that a considerable element in the free colored population of the 19th century was of Indian extraction. Let me stop here real quick because they keep using that word Negro, right? Now, I read this definition before from my dictionary of 1828, right? They keep saying the mixture of the Negro. So I'm going to have to slice this up because if you read it, if you try to get an understanding of what I'm reading, you're going to be thinking they're talking about dark-skinned people mixing in with the Indians and creating these mulattoes. No, they're not. Let's look at this word Negro, what it really means. Let's look at it. Again, done this many times. It is remarkable that our common people retain exact Latin pronunciation of the word nigger, a native or descendant of the black race of men in Africa. The word is never applied to the tawny or olive-colored inhabitants of northern coast of Africa, but to the more southern race of men who are quite black. Now, I got to go to read the definition of black again. The original definition. The original. Black, pale, wane, livid, bleaching, blacken, to make, become pale, to turn white, to become black, to blacken, to insulate, to expose to the sun, or to bleach, also to lighten, to flash. So basically the word black means pale, right? So when they're talking about Negroes, they're talking about these people mixing in. And those features changed. You start to get that silky long hair, things like that. Okay, that's why I wanted to read those definitions, because this is a later work in the 1900s. This is after they changed the definition of black and Negro. Y'all keep forgetting they got white Africans too. Oh, yeah, they got French Africans too. I met one at the bank, female. She looked like she was Latino or something, but she was French from South Africa. All right? Okay, let's keep going. One can also cite other authorities whose work caused them to consider the intermixture of African and American racial stocks. Helen T. Canterall, in her work on slavery in Virginia, noted that we have shown that the first slaves were Indians, not Negroes, and that the enslavement of Americans continued for many, many years. See, and look at what it just said. It said the Indians were the first slaves. So that means the people that were already here, they made them slaves. Then it said enslavement of the Americans. So when someone comes at me and says we're not supposed to be using the word Americans, that's BS. The indigenous people are the Americans of this land. They are the Americans. They are the true Americans. The Europeans didn't take on the title of American until after the 1800s. After they started having children here and were being born here, and then they became Americans through what? Naturalization. So who does the 14th Amendment really apply to? It doesn't apply to the indigenous folks. Because remember, in the Constitution, it said Indians not taxed. That one simple statement lets you know that all indigenous people are not to be taxed. But those immigrants, I'm saying it both ways, are the taxed ones. They cannot tax you on your own land. You were here, your ancestors. This is why they got to keep you black, African American. Because if you don't know who you really are, they keep getting paid off of you. Oh, I just gave y'all a remedy if you really saw what I just said. I just did. But like all times, I got to create something so that you can really see it. I just gave y'all something because I just made a direct quote out of the Constitution. And I just told you that you were never supposed to be taxed because you are the people of this land. And how can they tell you you're not the people of this land? The only way they could tell you is you're not claiming who you really are. You're not claiming your indigenous titles, your aboriginal titles. Oh, ab don't mean this and ab. I was talking to somebody else. Ab this, ab. Everybody wants to freaking play these sound and word games and get nowhere. See, I chuck all of that to the side when they come at me. Listen, go over there. You want to play those little words? Go over there and play in your little corner over there. I'm trying to get remedy. All right? I really did. I just solved your whole tax problem just in one statement. Now, if you really been following me, really been studying me this year, I just gave y'all some super remedy. All right, let me keep going. One can cite the other authorities whose work caused them to consider intermixture of women. First slaves were Indians, not Negroes, and that the enslavement of the Americans continued for many, many years. In 1903, a historian of New Jersey noted that unions between Indians and Negroes were so commonly frequent, indeed, as to have left permanent impress upon many families of Negroes of the present day. E.B. Rowder recognized, 1927, that African-American mixture had taken place within slavery and said the Indian slaves were gradually absorbed into the black population. As during the 1920s, 1930s, the Journal of Negro History frequently featured articles on black-native relations in Massachusetts, on Paul Cuff, an American-African mixed blood, and on other examples of red-black interactions. Within anthropology, a few scholars such as Ashley Montague, 1944, have recognized the significance of African-American contact. With the discovery of the New World, intermixture between the Negroes and the indigenes of the West Indies began almost at once. It must be supposed that these Negroes from different parts of Africa were already very thoroughly mixed. Hold on, let me scroll down. I don't want to get it to go to the next page. Okay, here it is. Themselves with the Indians of the islands and of the mainland of Brazil. So they taking you all the way into Brazil. By the time most of them reached North America, the mingling of Negroes and Indians, of course, occurred first in the West Indies. It is significant that Montague recognized that many of the slaves coming not directly into Africa, but from the Caribbean, might have had American ancestry. Thus, it may be seen that not only was there much mixture between different varieties of Negroes in the islands, but also a complete mixture with the indigenous Indians, and sometimes with Indians who were not indigenous to these islands. Montague also recognized that once the people of African descent had reached North America, intermixture in Americans continued. The available evidence indicates that ethnic mixture between Indians and Negroes have been a vastly greater proportion than has hitherto been realized. The American Negro population of today is a composite of African, white, and Indian elements. Unfortunately, however, the prevailing trend of more recent years have been similar to what happened to Alex Haley's Roots when it fell prey to the television script writers. Haley's book notes that the family absorbed the Indian ancestry in the Carolinas, but this element was eliminated by television viewing. There are exceptions. We all know Alex Haley made that story up, so, this was written before that was built. These are exceptions to the above trend. However, including J. Leach Wright Jr.'s The Only Land They Know, The Tragic Story of the Americans of the Old South, 1981, and Creeks and Seminoles, 1986, and Daniel F. Littlefield's Studies of Africans and Seminoles, 1977, the Cherokee Freedmen, 1978, Africans and Creeks, 1979, and the Chickasaw Freedmen, 1980. Considerable controversy has developed at times among white writers as to how much American ancestry Afro-Americans actually possess. This controversy is apparently not found among Afro-Americans, many of whom have told the writer of their Indian ancestry. Others related the same thing to Melville Herskovitz, August Meyer, and other researchers some years ago. One of the basic problems is to actually go back to the empirical evidence, the historical record, to document the extent of the African-American interaction and mixture. To do this, however, one must begin by clarifying the meaning of racial terms as used by early sources. The primary purpose here is to clarify the use of terms such as mulatto and free-colored in the British North American colonies, and incidentally to shed preliminary light on the relations between black Africans and Native Americans. As elsewhere, I will use the term American for Indians in the colonial era and Africans rather than Negro for presumably unmixed sub-Saharan Africans. Explicit definitions of the term mulatto. English writers began using the term mulatto mulatto and mulatto in the 1590s. The term was borrowed from Spanish and usually referred to persons met with the Caribbean or South American. Every Spanish definition of the term make it highly probable, indeed virtually certain, that such persons was usually half African and half American. John Miskew, as already noted, defined mulatto in 1599, 1617, and later as a person who was the child of a Moro or blackamoor and one from another nation. So what he's saying is a mulatto was somebody who is from the blackamoor or the Moor, and this is spelled Blacke, Blacke with a dash, Moore. I know some people with that last name, Moore, whites and blacks, right? And this extremely accurate and timely definition reflected Spanish usage very well. Now let us review other early English dictionaries. John Florio, 1611, does not include mulatto in his dictionary, but has muletto, Muletto, a little or young mule, a horse mule, also a bastard or misbegotten. Henry Cockerham, 1623, does not have mulatto, but he has a blackmoor, Black-Moore. Ethiope, that's spelled Ethyope. Thomas Blount, 1656, continues the Miskew definition, mulatto, the son of a blackamoor and a man of another nation, or a contra one that is of a mongrel complexion. A muletto is a great mule. Edward Phillips, 1658, states mulatto, one whose father is a blackamoor and his mother of another nation, or contrarily. So you see the pattern here is whoever is a Moor, right, and of another nation. But in 1702, John Kersey broadens the scope of the concept. A mulatto, the son of a Negro or Indian woman, and of a man of another nation, or of a Negro man and a woman of another country. It should be noted that this nicely coincides with the Virginia's legal definition of 1705 that a European American mixed blood is a mulatto and would seem to reflect some tendency in usage. We may also note that the term Negro replaces blackamoor in the dictionary. Although so they took the word Negro out and put we put Negro in and removed blackamoor. In the dictionary, although the 1708 Kersey usage is somewhat different, mulatto, one whose father is a blackamoor and his mother of another nation, or whose mother is a Negro and his father of another country. So if y'all paying attention, they're giving y'all dictionaries to look for. Chambers' Cyclopedia, 1727-41 states, mulatto, a name given in the Indies to those who are begotten by a Negro man on an Indian woman, or an Indian man on a Negro woman. This significant definition, so like Kersey's of 1702, undoubtedly reflects Spanish usage as well as the practice in South Carolina and other English colonies. The various dictionaries of North Bailey 1728-61 define mulattoes as one born of parents of whom one is a Moor and the other of another nation. He also states that Moor is a native of Mauritania in Africa, a black Moor. This would seem to imply that a mulatto could be the child of a North African and a non-North African, as well as a black African and non-black African, thus broadening the concept. A different approach appears in an English-Portuguese dictionary of 1701. The English side does not have the term mulatto, while the Portuguese term is defined as the mixture between a white and a black. English black is translated as escura, obscura, dark, and sombria, shady, sombre, as well as negro and pretro. Samuel Johnson in 1756 is the first English-only dictionary maker to apparently link mulatto to a black-white mixture. He states mulatto, Spanish, one begot between a white and black in 1785. He states mulatto French from mulus, Latin, one begot between a white and a black as a mule between different species of animals. Johnson's attitude may well reflect the change in usage, also growing racism, but we must note that the term black is not defined. James Buchanan, 1757, continued to treat mulatto, one born of part parents, of whom one is black and the other white. Buchanan is the first compiler to include a term for other kinds of mixed bloods. Mestizo, the breed of Spaniards with Americans, the significance of this will be noted later, but it should be stressed here that terms such as half-breed, half-blood, half-caste never appear with a racial meaning in any of the above dictionaries. Guess what? Noah Webster in his 1828 dictionary fails to include mestizo, but he does have mesti, a person mixed breed, West Indies, and mulatto, a person that is the offspring of a negress by a white man or of a white woman by a Negro. So there's my dictionary that I read from. Thus, we can see a rather clear pattern. First, the term mulatto is the only term available for referring to persons of mixed blood, mixed race, until 1757. Second, until 1756, mulatto usually refers to a person half African and half something else, but with a half American, half another nation, usage in 1702, and American African in 1727. After the 1750s, the half black, half white usage becomes dominant and replaces the half African, half another nation pattern. It should be noted also that from at least 1741, the term mulatto was used to designate a certain type of land or soil, sometimes described as a black mold and red earth, or the red or mulatto lands, 1883. This would tend to point in the direction of the term being used as a general marker for some shade of color. The 1933 edition of the Oxford English Dictionary follows that tendency in stating mulatto. Mulatto, young mule, hence one of the mixed race. One who is the offspring of a European and a Negro, also used loosely for any half-breed resembling a mulatto. This reflects a great deal of early usage cited by the OED, as when a British traveler speaks in 1789 of the mulattoes, or as they are called in the East Indies, half-caste. Nonetheless, a 1940 dictionary tends to narrow the meaning somewhat. Mulatto, a person who is the offspring of a Negro and a white person, a Negro with some white blood. Designating persons of mixed Negro and white blood, designating soils of brownish color. Thus, gradually, the term comes to refer to persons of mixed white European and black African ancestry, regardless of the exact degree of mixture. This usage is, however, not always the one actually used by legislative bodies and the courts, as will be analyzed below. It should be noted that it is very likely that from the beginning of the English used the term mulatto to refer to a wide range of brown mixed bloods, especially since the precise ancestry of most such persons could not be known. Such usage is reflected in Blount's 1656 definition above, one that is of mongrel complexion, also in remarks such as that of Robert Hooke. We find by relations how much the Negro woman do best mirror the offspring of the Spaniard, bringing forth neither the white skin nor black, but tawny-hided mulattoes. In fact, virtually all the early English references to mulattoes, 1590s, 1600s, are to individuals whose precise ancestry is unknown, whose origin usually has a Spanish connection or at least a West Indian one. So, in the beginning, it was a black or more mixed with another nation, that was a mulatto, right? Any other nation, doesn't matter, right? Now it transformed to a black person, Negro, with a white person. That's the way they're defining it now. But it didn't have that meaning in the beginning. Now, when you look at the early definition of mulatto, then that means everybody that you see of color is a mulatto. Really? Because we're mixed up. We have mixed with so many different nations. But one thing that's interesting, whoever we mix with, you could definitely see our dominance in their genes. Legal definition. Explicit legal statutory definitions of the term mulatto are surprisingly few in the colonial period. General uses will be examined below. But first, it is necessary to review those explicit references which do exist. We shall begin with Virginia, because that colony is thought to have exercised considerable influence on other areas. In 1705, Virginia prohibited any Negro, mulatto, or Indian from holding any public office. The act further stated, and for clearing all manner of doubts which hereafter may happen to arise upon the construction of this act or any other act, who shall be accounted a mulatto, be it that the child of an Indian and the child, grandchild, and great-grandchild or Negro shall be deemed, accounted, held, and taken to be a mulatto. In other words, an American-European mixed blood was defined as a mulatto, along with all parts Africans to the 1/8 degree. This statute apparently remained unmodified until 1785, when it was enacted that all persons 1/4 or more Negro blood shall be deemed a mulatto. This remained the legal definition until 1866, when it was modified. Every person having 1/4 or more Negro blood shall be deemed a colored person. See, they change it. They changing the definitions. This is why you cannot be using these definitions that they're coming up with. You're not that. This is why we have no rights, because as the political climate changed, as their needs changed to enslave you, they changed the rules. This remained the legal definition of 1866 when it was modified. Every person having 1/4 or more Negro blood shall be deemed a colored person. And every person not a colored person having 1/4 or more Indian blood shall be deemed an Indian. This use of colored person must be considered in relation to an 1860 statute using mulatto for persons of 1/4 African descent and making Negro mulatto equivalent in all statutes. So legally, they genocided. They committed genocide just by saying, well, if you have this, you this. How can a set of men come up with a rule to say who you are? They're not God over you. They didn't create you, but that's what they did. They created laws to create these titles that you're using. That's their creation. And if you follow those creations, then you have left your God. You have disrespected your ancestors. It would appear then that from 1705 until 1866, the only legal definition applying to mixed Native Americans, excepting those having 1/4 or more African ancestry, was that of 1705. Thus, we might, at first glance, construe that a mixed American and European was legally a mulatto if of 1/2 or more American blood until that statute of 1866, making such persons Indians. All American African mixed bloods remained mulattoes throughout the period. Others having less than 1/8 African ancestry, 1705 to 1785, or less than 1/4 African ancestry, 1785-1910. After 1910, Virginia reclassified large numbers of persons by extending the colored category to include people with minute amounts of African ancestry. Paper genocide, y'all. It should be noted that in actual practice, some Virginia officials seem to have assumed after 1785 that all mulattoes possessed 1/4 or more African ancestry. For example, a white petition asserted in 1843 that the Native Americans of King William County, Pamunkey, and Mattapony reservations all of whom by the laws of Virginia would be deemed and taken to be free mulattoes, as it is believed they all have 1/4 or more of Negro blood. In 1857, some local whites took away to monkey people's guns. The Indians complained to the governor, and he wrote back that the law in question did not apply to Indians, but that if any become 1/4 mixed with the Negro race, then they may be treated as the free Negroes or mulattoes. Thus, we might conclude that sometime around the War of Independence, the term mulatto acquired in Virginia the same meaning assigned to it earlier by some English dictionary makers, that is, that a part African person. Still further, it is clear that as late as 1843-57, a person of mixed American African ancestry was considered to be mulatto. This differs, of course, from those later dictionary definitions limiting the term to European African mixed blood. But there are exceptions and uses which will be noted below. During the 19th century, the courts of Virginia seem to have ordinarily limited the use of the term mulatto to persons of 1/4 or more non-white ancestry. For example, in 1847, two brothers of Culpeper County, William and John Ross, were alleged to be mulattoes. The court found that their grandfather, David Ross, was spoken of as a respectable man, though probably a mulatto, was a soldier in the Revolution and died in the service. His wife was probably white, and his son's wife certainly was. The Supreme Court held that the Ross brothers were legally white. South Carolina was another early leader in developing racial classification terms somewhat independent of Virginia. Spanish practice seems to have greatly influenced this colony, especially in the use of the term musty or mestizo for a certain type of part American mixed blood. The government of colonial South Carolina would appear to have almost never directly defined racial terms, but one instance is of great value to us. In 1719, South Carolina decided who should be an Indian for tax purposes. Since American slaves were taxed at a lesser rate than African slaves, the act stated, and for preventing all doubts and scruples that may arise, what ought to be rated on musties, mulattoes, etc. All such slaves are not entirely Indian shall be counted as Negro. So now we know how the indigenous people of South Carolina became Negro now. This is an extremely significant path, and it was all done for tax purposes. See? They had to change your designation in order to fleece you, in order to get your money. This is an extremely significant passage because it clearly asserts that musties and mulattoes were persons of part American ancestry. My own judgment, to be discussed later, is that a mustie was primarily part African and American, and that a mulatto was usually part European and American. The act is also significant because it asserts that part Americans with or without African ancestry could be counted as Negroes, thus having an implication for all later slave censuses. As will be indicated below, South Carolina colonial legislation makes frequent reference to Negroes, mulattoes, musties, and Indians, both as slaves and as free persons. This usage continued into the 19th century, but new meanings were gradually assigned to the terms. An important factor was doubtless the complete assimilation of American slaves into general slave population, and to some extent a similar absorption of Americans within the free colored group. In any case, there are many court cases from 1829 onward involving a discussion of the term mulatto. In that year, the Supreme Court stated that when the words Negro, mulatto, etc. are used in statutes for the purpose of designating a class, they ought to be interpreted by the common exceptions with, in case a mulatto meant offspring of a black and white. There is no legal definition of the term mulatto. In the first of the cases, a judge said that a mulatto was the offspring of parents, one of white and other of black, and that he was supposed to think that where the white blood predominated, this disqualification of mulatto status ought not to attach. It is certainly true that every admixture of African blood with European or white is not to be referred to as degraded class. It would be dangerous and cruel to subject this disqualification person bearing all of the features of a white on account of some remote admixture of Negro blood, nor has the term mulatto or persons of color, I believe, been popularly attributed to such persons. Where there is a distinct and visible admixture of Negro blood, the person is to be denominated a mulatto or person of color. It is a question very proper for a jury. See, they had to legally give you terms in order to enslave you. South Carolina judges, in other words, gradually extended the term to be virtually an equivalent to colored persons and to include persons visibly African regardless of the actual degree of blood. In 1846, this was stated even more explicitly. The constant tendency of this class, mulattoes, to assimilate to the white and desire for elevation present frequent cases of embarrassment and difficulty. It would be difficult, if not impolitic, to define by inflexible rules the lines of separation. The question of reception of colored persons into the class of citizens must partake more of a political than a legal character, and in a great degree be decided by public opinion. Regardless of appearance of liberality, the court consistently drew the line of somewhere between 1/8 and 1/16 African ancestry, a line formalized in many other states at that date. Still further, the father of the litigant, one Elijah Bass, although showing some unspecified non-European features, had apparently been treated as a white man, and his children had married white people. Thus, the court was in some ways more conservative than the local white community. And it is possible that Bass had American ancestry, since Bass people often have Indian affiliation in the South. It is clear from a decision of 1850 that persons of American descent, in order to escape from the status of mulatto or colored person, had to prove that they were of the free Indian descent, unmixed with African blood. The case is as follows. Amelia Merchant was challenged as a witness on the grounds that she was a person of color. It was argued on her behalf that her grandparents were free Indians and also that her father, James Mitchell, was a Portuguese. Opponents said that Mitchell had associated with colored persons and was so considered. So they was making her colored just because she associated with people. The verdict was in Merchant's favor, that is, that she was of free Indian ancestry and that she had no African blood. The Supreme Court reviewed the case and reversed the verdict in spite of the fact that the Mitchells had paid no capitation tax charged to free colored people and that James Mitchell had apparently married a white woman. The grounds for reversal were in part that many Indians had been enslaved and that the Mitchells came under the status of colored persons apparently because they could not prove descent from free Indians in amity with South Carolina. If nothing else, this 1850 case illustrates that persons of American blood could still be considered to be mulattoes or colored persons in South Carolina, especially if suspicion of African ancestry existed. In Georgia, which usually followed the lead of South Carolina, a wealthy Spanish Floridian of alleged mixed African and American ancestry was held to be a mulatto by a lower court. The higher court in 1856 reversed this decision and held him to be a white man. The other English colonies in North America seemingly failed to develop legal definitions for the various racial terms used in their statutes. Court cases occasionally shed light on meanings, as in Delaware, where a woman was freed from slavery because she was descended in the female line from a native of Asia, her grandmother. Slavery, it was said, extended only to Negroes and mulattoes descended from a female Negro. Her father was a Negro, and she apparently was classified as a mulatto. Many states adopted legal definitions after 1800. They are typified by the following examples. Indiana, 1817, every person other than a Negro whose grandfathers or grandmothers, anyone or shall have been a Negro through his or other progenitors may have been a white, shall be deemed a mulatto, and so every person who shall have 1/4 part or more of Negro blood. I'm trying to figure out where they get these tests, like 1/4 part. Indiana also asserted that no Negro, mulatto, or Indian could be a witness in cases involving white persons. California, 1850, persons having 1/8 or more Negro blood shall be deemed mulattoes, and persons having 1/2 of Indian blood shall be deemed Indians. No black and mulatto persons or Indian shall give evidence in a case involving a white person. See, now y'all see why how they treat y'all in these courts? They still act that way today. Let's see. Let me skip over. A similar situation exists in relation to early United States records. The first census in 1790 forced the local enumerator to place all free persons in two categories: white and all other free persons except Indians not taxed. Most families known to be of all Indian extraction in Maryland, North Carolina, South Carolina, and elsewhere, Virginia is missing, were placed in the all other free persons category. Occasionally, however, the enumerator also wrote in their specific racial status. Thus, we find in South Carolina, Jordan Chavez of Sherrard, classified as mulatto, and Hannah Chavez of Edgefield, classified as mulatto. The Chavez and Chavis name is widely associated with the Indian communities in many North and South Carolina. I knew some Chavises, Pink Cap, South Carolina. I could keep going on and on and on. This is a long read. I just read almost 5 pages of it. I'm going to keep reading this. But reading this definitely gave me some ideas. All right. Let me go back. All right. That's all I'm going to read. There you go. There you have it. Paper genocide at its best. I had something else that I was going to read, Mulatto Classification of Indian Families and Related Laws by Stacy Ricketts, September 10th, 2006. I was going to read that, but that other one was such a long read that I can't get to that. All right. I'm going to take another break because I've been reading for a good while, and I shall be back.